Welcome to Dr. Katina Talks, the podcast where we explore the journey to a more fulfilling, balanced, and meaningful life. I'm your host, Dr. Katina, and I'm here to share stories, insights, and strategies that inspire you to live life more authentically. As I moved my clothes from several smaller closets into my new closet room, I started noticing how much I had been holding on to. I had clothes that were too small, too big, and clothes that no longer reflected who I am. I realized that at some point these clothes reflected who I was. But I've changed, and so has my body, my taste, and my life has changed, and I am still growing and changing. Living in the Northeast, we understand seasons. I don't walk outside in July wearing a heavy winter coat because it kept me warm in January. The coat did its job. It may still be beautiful. It just does not fit every season. Standing back in my closet room, I began wondering how many of us are emotionally wearing winter coats in the middle of summer. How many of us are still wearing roles we became very good at wearing? The manager, the fixer, the rescuer, the strong one, the one everyone calls. There may have been a season when those roles fit, but ask yourself, do these roles fit now? We give our closets permission to change with the seasons. A new pair of shoes, a different handbag, a more current pair of jeans. But are we giving ourselves the same permission? We spend years helping everyone around us grow. We raise children. We support spouses. We care for parents. We expect the people we love to change. But are we growing too? Or are we still reaching for the same old role simply because we know how to wear it, even when it's out of season? I've realized that growing and changing is necessary in order to embrace a new season of life. And as I sat in my closet room with the clothes in multiple sizes and from different seasons, I realized 5 things that I want to share with you. Here you go. 1. What fit in one season may not fit in the next. When my daughter was little, she needed a manager. And as a manager, I gave orders and asked questions like, brush your teeth. Do you have everything you need? That role fit the season because children need structure. But eventually, children grow, and we should grow with them. At some point, the manager needs to become a mentor. A mentor does not run your life. A mentor listens, offers wisdom, asks questions, and sometimes has to watch you make a decision she would never make herself. We celebrate every one of our children's milestones. The baby learns to walk, and we learn to release the hand. The child starts school, and we learn to trust another environment. The teenager drives, and we learn to sit in the passenger seat. The manager was a beautiful role. You may have worn it well, but sometimes we keep reaching for a role because it's familiar, not because it still fits. Moving from manager to mentor can be difficult, but it tells the people around you that you trust them to make adult decisions. And it frees you to make decisions about your own life that you may not have had time or space for when you were in manager mode. 2. Growth sometimes requires you to change the role you play. Our children change. Our marriages change. Our careers change. Our parents age. The seasons shift. And sometimes we keep showing up dressed in a winter coat in the middle of a hot summer day in July. A marriage may have spent years centered on permission slips, practices, and schedules. Then the children leave, and 2 people have to learn how to be husband and wife in a different way. A woman may have built her career around her family's needs. The hours were right. The flexibility was right. Then her family changes, and she realizes she is still making decisions for a family that no longer exists in the same form. We often feel confused and unsatisfied when a role no longer fits. I prayed for this. I worked for this. I built this. Why am I no longer satisfied? Maybe nothing is wrong. Maybe the season has changed, but you've not learned how to dress for this new season. 3. Being needed can become an identity if you're not careful. Some roles are hard to take off, especially when you've been complimented for wearing them so well. You're so strong. I don't know what we would do without you. Those words can feel good. Being needed can feel like love, and sometimes it is. But if we wear that role long enough, we start to believe our value is attached to it. If my adult child solves the problem without calling me, am I still important? If I stop fixing everything, will people still want to be around me? Here is the question I think some of us need to sit with. Can I tolerate being wanted without always needing to be needed? Being needed says, I cannot do this without you. Being wanted says, I can stand on my own and I still choose to have you in my life. For women who have spent decades being needed, being wanted can feel unfamiliar. No emergency, no fire to put out, just presence. And if your identity has been built around doing, then you may not know how to simply be still. Maybe the strong one, the fixer, and the rescuer are still hanging in your emotional closet. The question is not whether they once served you well. The question is whether you need to put them on every day, or do you need to learn to dress for this new season? 4. You don't have to replace your entire wardrobe to begin changing your life. Sometimes one small piece changes an entire outfit. A different shoe, a scarf, a new hairstyle, or just learn to match your current pieces differently to create an entirely new look. Development can happen the same way. You do not have to become an entirely different woman overnight. You take one class, you say no once. You let your adult child solve one problem without stepping in. You sit quietly for 10 minutes without feeling obligated to produce anything. We delay our own development because we believe change has to be dramatic, and it doesn't. You simply have to notice what no longer fits and then begin choosing differently. 5. You are allowed to become a woman you have never been before. We talk so much about getting back to ourselves, about finding the woman we were before marriage, before children, before life became so full. I've been thinking about that. I'm not sure I want to go back. The woman I was 20 years ago had dreams, but she did not have the wisdom I have today. She had energy, but not my boundaries. She had possibilities, but not my experience. She had not survived my disappointments or learned from my mistakes. She had not lived my life. And maybe development is not about finding the old you. Maybe it is about growing and developing into the next you. As I stood in my closet room looking at clothes from every season of life, I noticed some pieces I still wear. Some no longer reflect the woman I am becoming. There's nothing wrong with them. At one point they fit. At one point they served me well. I simply changed. I changed careers, my body changed, my style changed, the seasons of life changed. I just needed to learn how to adapt to the change while growing alongside it. We expect flowers to bloom and seasons to change. Yet sometimes we expect ourselves to stay frozen in a role we learned 20 years ago. Maybe you were the manager, the fixer, the rescuer, the woman who held everything together because at the time, everything really was falling apart. Honor her. She served you well. But ask yourself whether you still need to wear her every day. Because sometimes the role is not wrong. It is simply out of season. We give our closets permission to change with the season. Maybe it is time we give ourselves the same permission. Thank you for listening to Dr. Katina Talks. If this episode helped you see yourself a little more clearly, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another woman who may still be wearing a role that no longer fits the season she is in. Until next time, keep opening the closet. Bye for now.